Welcome everyone to the video about chapter 5.2 theory B. Why theory B? Well, we're going to skip theory A, which doesn't introduce us to a whole lot of new things, and there are no exercises about theory E in the actual homework. Remember, you still have to know how to do this though, right? Solving quadratic equations using factorizing or using completing the square. But for now, I'm going to start with exercise 15, which is an introduction to theory B. All quadratic equations can be written in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. For example, if I have 2x squared equals 3x minus 1, I can use the balance method to rewrite it to this. And in this case, the number in front of the x squared is the a, so a is 2. The number in front of the x is the b, so b is minus 3. And c is 1. It's also given here. Let's practice this. If I have something like this, use the balance method, rewrite it to this, to minus 6x and minus 3 on both sides, and now write down what the values of a, b, and c are. A is the number in front of x squared, so a is 1. B is the number in front of x, so that's minus 6. And c is the number in front, or you can say not the number in front, the number without a variable. So c in that case is minus 3. And that's the exercise here, right? Writing down what those numbers are. So for b, I first have to multiply out the brackets. So that becomes minus 7 and minus 7x. Then I simplify. I do 2x and minus 7x. I calculate that to give me minus 5x minus 7. Then do both sides plus 5x and plus 7 to find x squared plus 7 equals 0. What number is a here? That's the number in front of the x squared, so a is 1. I don't have anything with x, so you can say the number in front of x is 0, right? Because then I get 0 times x, and that x disappears. And c is the low number, so c here is 0. Why are we practicing this? Well, we need this for the quadratic formula. And the quadratic formula is a very special thing. The quadratic formula is a method in which you can solve practically any quadratic equation. That's quite important because sometimes we cannot use the methods that we have taught you in second grade and previously this year. The only downside, because, well sir, if I can use the quadratic formula to solve any quadratic equation, why don't we always use it? Why do I have to use a times b is 0 with the product sum method, or x squared is c, or even x plus b squared equals q, in which we have to use the theory from chapter 3? Well, because quadratic formula has quite some intermediate steps, and therefore most of the times it takes a lot longer. It works, but it takes longer. Let's take a look at those 4 steps that the book describes. If I want to solve a quadratic equation using the quadratic formula, which in Dutch is called de ABC-formule, omdat er een A, een B en een C in staat. Nederlanders zijn wat dat betreft wat makkelijker met de benaming. In het Engels noemen ze het de quadratic formula. You first have to rewrite the equation to this form. We already practiced that, and we also practiced step 2, write down the values of a, b, and c. Now, what we're going to do is use quite some elaborate formula. And the book also describes how this comes to be. You can prove that this is true. That's not in the course. If you're going to choose Mathematics B, I think they will show you the proof again in 4th or 5th grade. For now, you don't have to prove why this is true. Okay? We have to calculate the letter D, which is called the discriminant. In het Nederlands ook de discriminant. Later legt het boek ook uit waar die naam vandaan komt. Capital D, so use the capital letter here please, equals the value of b squared minus 4 times a times c. And then the solutions of my equation apparently are x equals minus b minus the square root of the discriminant divided by 2a, or x is, or and x is minus b plus the square root of d divided by 2a. That's a lot to digest. Let's practice this. Again, there was an exclamation point here and here again. This is important to know. You have to know this by heart. You have to write down this on your test, and don't start by asking yourself then the question, oh, what was the quadratic formula again? If you write down minus, let's say you use d equals b squared plus 4ac, then you don't get anything of value. If you use x equals b minus the square root of d, you don't get anything of value. It's just plainly incorrect. And therefore, you should learn those formulas by heart. And if I just ask you before a test, what's the quadratic formula? You should be able to mention it or write it down in one go. This is important. You need this, okay? How are you going to use this? Well, let's say we get something of this form. 2x squared plus 5x minus 3 equals 0. Let's solve this using the quadratic formula. And therefore, we have to first rewrite it to the form ax squared plus bx plus c, but that's already done here. So write down what are the values for a, b, and c. A is the number in front of the x squared, b is the number in front of the x, c is the lone number. So here a is 2, b is 5, and c is minus 3. Then now calculate the discriminant, d, which is b squared minus 4 times 2 times minus 3, because it's minus 4, times the value of a, that's 2, and times the value of c, that's minus 3. Then you get a number. The number here is 49. Okay. Doesn't tell us yet, doesn't tell us something special yet, but it will later on in new theories. Discriminant is 49. Now the solutions are x is minus 5 minus the square root of discriminant, 49, divided by 2 times a, 2 times 2 is 4, or x is minus 5 plus the square root of 49 divided by 4. Remember to write down both answers here, otherwise you are not correct. Hey, here, luckily I can calculate square root 49 mentally. It's 7. So apparently here, x is minus 3 or x is a half. Could you have done this a different way? Yes, you can, but you will find that the quadratic formula works best when I don't find nice whole numbers here, because I could have used the product sum method here, but then who is going to search for a half here? And you will find that the theory that we've discussed in chapter 3 is not going to use a whole lot. I will come back on this later in theory B and theory C as well. For now, practice using the quadratic equation. So practice using those 4 steps right here. Write them down. These are intermediate steps that I want you to write down. Okay? And that was theory B. Next video, I'm going to discuss theory C as well. So know this thing by heart, please. Write it down. Copy it. And write it down every time you need it. Filled in, of course, as an intermediate step in your calculations. Good luck.